Yeah, it came out of a means of necessary because I got into a car crash in very early 2018 and I couldn't do what I was doing at work at a hotel in Tampa. So I was kind of out of work. And I'm like, now what do I do? So, yeah, Comedians Uncorked. I did everything
Wait a minute,
backwards.
hold on, wait. Let me
Yeah.
stop you right there.
Yeah.
You got into an accident
Yes.
and you couldn't go back to your regular job.
Right.
So you decided the best thing to do was to go into comedy.
Right. To do because I was doing comedy while working at this hotel in Tampa for years.
Did you hit your head?
Now, broadcasting live from the Podcast Palace on Park Street in beautiful and dangerous Clearwater, Florida, it's the Comedians Uncorked podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Tony Gaud and Pat Largo.
Hey everybody, and welcome season 3, episode 2 of the Comedians Uncorked podcast. Thank you so much for checking it out, and you guys on Spotify and YouTube and our Facebook page. Thank you so much. We have, of course, our co-host Tony Gaud. My name is Pat Largo, and we have a big time in studio sponsor we always like to mention. It's Julie Drolshagen. She has been with us from day one, even before our first episode of the Comedians Uncorked podcast. She's an incredible real estate agent right here in beautiful Clearwater, Florida, Century 21. You can get her at 727-902-9233 or at floridabeachbusiness.com.
floridabeachbusiness.com for all your real estate needs in Florida.
In Florida, Julie Drolshagen. Thank you so much for Century 21. So we have a guest on today that we've had on before on Comedians Uncorked podcast. We were just fresh off of our, or I should say her, Kay Funny.
She's a veteran. She's like our go-to comic on the channel.
Yeah, and she knows her stuff. And she has her own, not just an event, it's a huge event. It's Kay Funny that we just did in Newport Richey, Florida at the beautiful Richey Suncoast Theater just a few days ago. And we're just decided to talk about some of the indie shows, just those independent, really cool shows that people are doing, not just in our area, but around the country. So Aniria, thank you so much for joining us yet again.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And just as a quick disclaimer, I am wearing my old ragged out t-shirt because my AC's out. AC's out, and I'm in Florida. So for all you happy travelers that want to come to Florida, this is what happens, man. Yeah. Your AC is gonna break, and you're gonna sweat your ass off, and you're gonna say, you know what? I kind of like the snow.
Uh-huh.
This as we talk about a Latin themed show.
Yeah, that's right.
It's too hot, man. It's too hot anymore. Too hot.
We're getting soft. So
caliente.
Real quick, if people don't know Aniria, and it was great because a few years ago, you came up with this idea, Kay Funny, and man, I'm happy to be a part of it. I got to host it again, host the evening. It's our second event that we did. Yeah. Tony Gaud is a part of the show. Jeff Luis, this past show. I know many people also came to me and they said, man, we love Tony Gaud. So they were just enjoying, they were knowing the comedians. Basically, the floor is yours when it comes to this, man. Just talking about maybe how you got into the idea or why you got into
it. Yeah, talk about how you decided on the theme of the show, because that's kind of like, those are a couple of the reasons that I got on board. Like one of the reasons is because of the theme of the show,
Yeah. Well, thank you. First of all, I want to congratulate you guys. You guys did a great job. I was so happy with this show. I had a lot of great feedback from people who had never seen you guys and people who have seen you guys. So hats off to you. And yeah, I came up, there's several reasons why I came up the show, but as far as the theme is concerned, I had just trademarked Get Funny for my merch. And I really I went to LA and I had.
So this started out as a merchandising thing originally?
Yeah, okay. So let's go back. I was accepted to the Burbank Comedy Festival and I decided that I was going to make a shirt that said Get Funny and see what kind of feedback I got. Okay. And I went to LA. I think I was there for like almost 2 weeks. And the feedback was crazy. Like people, even when I went to the mall, I would wear it and people would say, oh, that's a cute shirt, And so I had the merch, and then I started thinking, yeah, that'd be cute. It's me, bilingual, blah, blah, blah. And then honestly, when I first met Pat said, hey, when are we going to go on tour? Because I can go on tour because A, B, and C. And then they were all funny, but I'm sure some of them were real. And I looked at Pat, and you were on that show, which is the show that Pat was saying all this. And I thought, what about a show where people tackle culture? I thought about it being Latinx, but then I thought, there's a lot of other cultures that I want to hear stories about, because I find, as a Puerto Rican Salvadorian growing up in Florida, I can't escape culture. And I love comedy, and there's a lot of great comedians out there, but not a lot of them tackle that. I'm seeing more that do, but I wanted to get away from the usual getting high stories or, dating and all that. I want to hear that too, but I wanted to hear more about challenges and wins in the cultural universe. And that's how I came up with the idea. And I thought, why not make it, instead of just Latino, make it multicultural? Obviously, because Pat was one that said, when are we going on tour?
Yeah.
And
of course, now you gotta understand now, Pat says that to every comic he meets.
I bet.
That's his hello. When are we going on tour?
He's smart. And I can't say he's a tour yet because we haven't left the Tampa Bay area, but why not? Down the road. I think that when you do a theme show, there's such a learning curve.
Let me ask you this. Let's talk about theme shows for a second, and then because I want to talk about setting up the shows, the venues that you choose, that kind of thing, and how you market it. But as far as theme shows, now you've been on other theme shows as well in the past, like the Diva shows, things like that. I've done different theme shows as well, and now Pat's kind of new to that kind of thing, I would say, because it's like you haven't really done it as long, but what you do with the Comedians Uncorked shows is kind of its own theme. You kind of have your own brand. But now, is there something that, with the other theme shows you did, is there something distinguishing about it that you liked about it, or was it kind of an ends to a mean, or why did you get on board in the first place?
You're asking me or Pat?
Yeah, I'm asking you first. Well, Pat sets his up, so we'll talk about how he decided to set his up the way he did.
Well, I think that when I was part of the Funny Diva show, I really liked it. I mean, I thought it was such a great idea. I thought it was so marketable. At the time, we all were kind of at different levels in the comedy skills, if you will, but we all had something to attribute. And what I liked about the theme show was that because we made it up, then we would do our lineup and we would tell, depending on how comfortable you were doing a certain amount of minutes, we're like, okay, well, you do 10 since you're still working on this, or more experienced person will do more. So I felt that control of being able to control the show was very appealing. I thought the Funny Diva at the time, I thought it was a great name. There were female comedians, but not so many like there are now. So it was kind of like
that's true.
Opening a door for more.
Yeah, that's very true. At that point, there were not a whole lot of female comics in the market.
No,
even in Florida, in the regional market.
Yeah, and now it's so refreshing to see so many more women, because that is another point of view, another perspective. I like listening to the men just as I like listening to the women. And for that particular show, that was the attraction, that I got to hear other comedians' points of view that were like mine. Some weren't like mine, but it was a different point of view from a female perspective.
Well, what about you, Pat? Like, you started your shows, you just kind of just went ahead and like, this is Comedians Uncorked, and here's what I do. I'm bringing these comics to you. Now, first, how did you come up with the name Comedians Uncorked? How did that originate? And then how did you decide, I'm just going to go ahead and do my own shows?
Yeah, it came out of a means of necessary because I got into a car crash in very early 2018 and I couldn't do what I was doing at work at a hotel in Tampa. So I was kind of out of work. I'm like, now what do I do? So, yeah, Comedians Uncorked. I did everything backwards.
Hold on, wait. Let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
You got into an accident.
Yes.
And you couldn't go back to your regular job.
Right.
So you decided the best thing to do was to go into comedy.
Right. To do, because I was doing comedy while working at this hotel in Tampa for years.
Did you hit your head?
It was. Well, you know what it was? It was, you know how, like, as the old Steve Harvey thing about, like, don't worry about fear, just jump, and you're gonna hurt yourself on the way down, but like you'll make it. The chute's gonna open. So I'm like, okay. I was actually going to this venue, I swear to God, in Port Richey, to get a job, like as a bar back or like a serve, just to do something, make money. And I just happened to ask him. I go, he had a beautiful stage outside, and I said, "Do you do shows?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Do you ever do comedy?" He goes, "No." "Why? What do you do?" I go, I do comedy." He goes, "We can do a show." He goes, "Do you have any sound equipment, name, anything?" I said, "Nope, but I've got comedians." So I did everything in reverse. I booked the show with him, which was a success, thank God. I didn't have any name for it yet. I was kind of coming up with some stuff, and then some friends of mine mentioned the Uncorked word, and then I just kind of turned it around and twisted around. I said, let's do Comedians Uncorked. Just like, because just kind of unleashing knowledge and jokes and stuff like that. I stayed away from any kind of wine bottle logo reference. I didn't want that.
Yeah, we talked about that too.
We talked, right? Then I got, but so once I got the name, because I knew I had all the comedians, all the people I know. So I said, okay, now I got to get a big stage banner. I got my sound guy. I got good equipment. Now I have an actual a product to present people. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Tony Gaud.
How's everybody doing, man? Good. Lando Lakes.
So this started literally about 4 years ago, about this time of year in 2018. And, thank God, man, I've been doing the Comedians Uncorked brand now for a while. And I feel like when I say I bring the whole show, I literally bring a whole show.
A full production. Wow. So basically, so since 2018, you've been winging it.
Yeah. No, you're right. I tell people, I'm not a businessman. I'm learning.
Difference. No, but here's the difference. Here's a perfect example of the different approaches, because it's like you kind of took a leap of faith at an opportunity. It's like at a moment in your life, and said, "This is it. I'm going to go for it, and whatever happens, happens."
Yep.
And Aniria, actually, she's gotten the K-Funny off the ground after her past experiences, and then you kind of planned what you were going to do. You both are working. It's both working for both of you. So it's like so there's no formula, or whoever's watching, there's no formula if that's what you want to do. Like I had shows as well. You guys know I did all those shows at the Improv. I did a ton of different theme shows. Mm-hmm. I would always get called to do the 420 shows, things like that, so and I just it's like I've been doing this for a really long time, so it's like I've always kind of been accustomed to getting involved with theme shows, like even back when I was doing music, when I was doing hip hop and I was rapping and everything. And when I had the band, there was obviously a niche, we had a particular sound. So I don't mind. I feel familiar with those things. One of the things I like about it is that you get to work with people that you like, you know,
Yeah.
more often, you know. So it's like the more dates you can put on a calendar for like a tour, you know, like if the K Funny tour, once the K Funny tour builds up to where it's on a regular schedule.
Mhm.
I mean, that's, you know, we turn around and do a 3-month tour, you know, with all of us. That's fun. You know, everybody on the tour, you get along, everything's great. That's one of the things that appeals to me.
Yeah.
One of the other things that appealed to me about the K Funny tour was the choice of venues. Because I mean, we could book a lot more dates if you just opened up and said, I'm going to book it anywhere and do, you know, whatever platform. But what attracted me is like being selective about venues, you know. Now,
Yeah.
what made you choose that, and what kind of venues are we talking about?
Yeah, I think my idea behind this show was that I wanted it to be performed at theaters. For several reasons. I think, you know, as an actor, I love theaters. I like I like being in one. I like attending one, you know, plays. I think theaters, how do I say this without hurting anybody's feelings, but
It doesn't matter. Hurt their feelings.
I think theaters treat you better. You know, I think they treat you better.
More professional.
They're more professional. I think, like I heard Jim Jeffrey say after the whole Will Smith slap, this thing he said has stuck to my head, and I hear it in my head every day. He's like, what we do is hard, you know, and it is. What we do as comedians is very hard. And his point in that conversation was, we don't even get credit for it at the Oscars. You know, they don't even have comedy movies. And
No, they don't. Yeah, really, they don't.
no, they don't. And so his point was, you know, we can act. We're comedians and we can act, but the reverse isn't always true. You can't make an actor be a comic. And we write our, you know, and we do so much. We're a one-man thing, you know,
That sounds like a question of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel the love in theaters. The first show that we had was a theater that Michael Murillo, another one who does theme shows, has booked me in year after year, and they've gotten to know me, and they've always been supportive of not just my comedy, but also my acting. You know, when I appeared on an episode of Chicago Med, they posted it on their Facebook page. I was shocked. And so I thought, why not start there?
They give you more value, I think, you know, as a performer. They're really in tune to you as a performer.
Yes. I and I sometimes don't feel that from comedy clubs, you know. I know you and I have had extensive conversations that sometimes I feel like, well, fuck, you know, I got credits, I'm working hard, I got agents, I not sold out their room, but had a lot of people their shows. Why aren't they giving me more? You know? And so going back to an open letter that Patton Oswalt wrote one time for the gatekeepers, you know, he talked about, you know, we have TikTok now. Well, he didn't talk about that because TikTok wasn't a thing, but I'm saying, you know, we have social media, we have YouTube. I mean, our careers are different. We don't have to wait on a club throwing us a little bit of luck our way anymore.
Yeah, the access is different. So the need to be in a club is not necessary all the time. Now, Pat, how do you like doing the theaters? Because I mean, you've done the grind in like the bars, you've done the live broadcast from events and all that stuff with the radio. You're still doing that stuff. But how do you like performing on theater as opposed to all those other stages? Or do you have a preference?
Well, the theaters, the two that we done for K Funny are beautiful. Yeah, I mean, to do any kind of show, but that's you feel special when you're on that stage, I think, in my opinion. I mean, when it comes to my Comedians Uncorked shows, when I have some golf course, like, you know, their banquet hall type stuff, and you've been a part of those shows in Tampa with me, both of you. You know, I like those rooms because they kind of make you feel special, because it's a nice, you know, kind of dress up, dinner, show, date kind of thing. It's a nice feeling. But the theaters that we did for K-Funny, I would love to somehow down the road, you know, do a Comedians Uncorked or anything in the theater again. I feel that was just I don't want to use the word cozy, but it was just really, it just made you feel at home when you got up there on stage and you see those folks and you see the lights and you're on that big stage and you see the orchestra pit in front of you. It's like, wow, I really feel like this is almost my Netflix special or something. It's really great.
It feels more real as compared to what you imagine when you first start. You know, this is what I imagined it would be. You know, that kind of thing. Now, for me, I got spoiled very early, and I prefer the theater stages over any other stages. You know, clubs are cool and all, but if I have a choice, I'd rather be on the theater stage, because I toured when I toured with Jackie Mason. Those were theater tours. We're playing like these huge venues, and it's like, and you get treated great. You get treated like you matter.
Right.
As part of the, you get treated, you're the show, and you get treated like that in the theater. You know, they prepare things for you. You know, they take all the concern out of your head so you can just focus on your performance. That's your job. So I love that. I love the whole thing. The only thing, there's a couple differences, obviously, with any other venue, from one-nighters to clubs to the theater. One of the things is I did all the merchandise for Jackie Mason, did all the merchandise. And he had a ton of merchandise. So when we had to do counts, do inventory, you know, and all this. The theater setup is different. The contracts are different. It's a different money exchange, you know, because at that level they get a piece of the product as well. They get a piece of the merchandise and all that. Okay. But I made a pretty penny off of that. But that's different, as well as when you're getting paid because of the contract, the counting. We were talking about that earlier. Now, are some of these? How do you find these differences? Are they easy to adjust to, or do you find them annoying? Or is it, I mean, it's different.
It's different, and I think there's pros. There's pros, and then I'm not gonna say cons. I'm gonna say pain in the asses to learn. The pro is that you're kind of in charge. You know what you're worth, and I think that with you know, like comedy clubs specifically, everybody's kind of worth the same. But sometimes, you know, you might be an experienced comedian, not getting this certain break or getting the same break as somebody who started 6 months ago. And then here comes year 15 and it's the same pay. But with a theater and you negotiating or your venues, even like what Pat Largo does, you're in control of what you think your show is worth. Not necessarily just you, but just the show itself. And that's ever evolving, because, you know, we just started ours. We're still trying to figure out how to price it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, and this is for both of you guys, on both of these, like, you know, we can wrap it after this. On the shows, like the Comedians Uncorked, you have a different lineup, but you have very similar theme, niche as far as the comics. And Aniria for K-Funny, that's leaning towards the Latin community and the you know, like the you know, the community in general, but you're leaning more Latin. How do you promote it? Like, what are the different areas that you promote it in? as far as social media and the traditional market. And Pat, you can speak to this as well because you've helped Aniria on that end as well. Pat, do you want to kick it off and then I'll let Aniria wrap it up?
Yeah, I know we got about 8 minutes left here. So yeah, I mean, I'm learning still as I go when it comes to the promotions part. I'm learning now to try to partner up with venues that I have who have their all-inclusive promo staffs who do their own promotion, and they have a big mailing list of like thousands of people on their Facebook page or email list. So that saves me a ton of work right there when they go, oh yeah, once we make the flyer and we send it out, it's going to hit 5,000 people. Our promo team is going to make sure everyone in this place gets it, and we're going to have, probably close to a sellout. So that makes me happy. Of course,
that's great. Yeah,
that's good. Not every venue, but I mean, I'm trying to pick and choose now the ones that I know are going to have an audience also who wants comedy, like they want entertainment, but they're used to music and stuff. But I know they want, and usually ahead of time, I'll have them put on their Facebook or Instagram, hey, do a little survey and ask if they want that. And usually it comes back to go, yeah, man, they're down for it. Let's set a date and do a show. So, but I do the same thing. I do the Facebook, the promos, the boosting, like with Aniria. I've been blessed to know some TV people in the area. So, I mean, we all know some folks. So I try to get like Aniria some help on TV to promote K-Funny, or even me or whoever we need to. So sometimes they're able to help us.
Let me jump in real quick and back up to when you mentioned that you boost like on like Facebook, that kind of thing, the ads. How far ahead do you boost? And do you give yourself a particular budget?
Yeah, I don't spend a lot. I really don't. Like right now, a lot of times I'll go usually no more than 2 weeks out, sometimes literally just a week out because we hit social media hard in other ways. But I mean, yeah, I don't go a month out. I don't spend hundreds of dollars. I try to just keep it in a budget that I have because, like I said, normally the other venue I'm working with also boosts, and that's going out to thousands of people. So it's a good partnership. That's the main thing. We're all on the same team and the same page, and that helps everything out.
Now, Aniria, Pat was mentioning like he'd help you a couple times with the TV aspect and that kind of thing, which is a whole different discussion about, being in the game and actually networking. But talk to me about how you promote it like that, how you target the audience for K-Funny.
I was very thankful for the opportunity that Pat, Pat said, just write up a press release and I'll send it to my people. And so he did. But of course you have to promote, and those shows come on just a few days before the show. So there's a lot you have to do ahead of time. I'm still trying to work it out. I'm trying to get creative with it, trying to do different things that other comedians don't. Like I did a video where I'm describing the show from an interview I did last year. And then I put pictures of us at our first show, people wearing the merch to kind of pump it up. I put John Leguizamo out there again. He's wearing my merch and he's worn it more than twice. So I use that to my advantage. But I think as far as the target market, your fans, social media, your fans are following it. You're trying to capture other people. I say make sure you tag all your comics, because I've been on shows where people don't tag the comics. Tag them because they'll make it easy for them to share, and that people then will know you. I think it's just like these shows. People get to know not just you, but other comedians, and it's kind of like benefit for all. And I also want to give a shout out to Pat, to you, and to so many other people in our community that are doing this. You have your Kellys of the world, you have your Lauren Defaults and Lauren Lance, you have the Michael Murillos. During the pandemic, I mean, Jeff is always saying that Pat Largo kept everybody above water during the pandemic because he was doing shows, and his shows are unique, with artists.
Well, I'll tell you, because of the cost of everything going up, we have to get creative with how we reach people. And I think we have, and I think we're doing it. There's more to get into and a deeper discussion. But I wanted to make sure that we started covering that. And, always, whenever we can have Aniria on to talk about stuff, it's always good because she knows what she's talking about. She's passionate about it. She's a pro. And we're going to have footage of her when she becomes famous that we can use later.
Well, aren't you just getting famous too? Shit.
I'm tired of being famous.
I'm just tired in general.
Yeah.
Look at these eyes. This is not good. Man, I know we got to wrap it up here, man. And Tony, we got to get you someone to fix your AC, man. Real quick, Aniria, we always like to ask, how can people get a hold of you for anything on social media, or where can they get a hold of you and become a fan of Aniria Turney?
Go to Instagram at Aniria is funny. I just started a TikTok. I'm trying to figure that world out. So
yes,
I'm on there.
Yeah, I've seen you on there,
dude. Can I blame someone? I blame Dat Fan.
Yes.
Oh, Pat, you gotta. You gotta. No, seriously, I'll follow you. You gotta. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm just.
But you'll get the hang of it, Pat.
Okay.
I'm trying different things. So sometimes it's the simple things that take off, and the stuff you put a lot of work in doesn't really take off.
But this is awesome. But Aniria, thank you so much again for joining us, and thank you for having me and Tony on your K Funny show for the second time, and I love it, and I hope we do more. And I want to thank everyone for checking us out, man. Season 3. Thank you, Tony. This is great, man. Season 3 of the Comedians Uncorked podcast. Of course, thank you again, Julie Drollshagen, our studio sponsor at Century 21 right here in beautiful Clearwater, Florida, for Aniria Turney and our co-host, Tony Gaud. My name is Pat Largo. Laugh, you deserve it. And thank you for watching Comedians Uncorked podcast.